Most people don't realize it because they're invisible, but microbes make up about a half of the Earth's biomass, whereas all animals only make up about 1/1000th of all the biomass. And maybe it's something that people in Oxford don't do very often, but if you ever make it to the sea and you swallow a mouthful of seawater, keep in mind that each milliliter has about 1 million bacteria and on the order of 10 million viruses. From one site, from one barrel of seawater, we discovered 1.3 million new genes and as many as 50,000 new species. We've extended this to the air. Now with a grant from the Sloan Foundation, we're measuring how many viruses and bacteria all of us are breathing in and out every day, particularly on airplanes or closed auditoriums.
Legionnaire's disease. Do you remember that? How bizarre is that? It happened at a convention. All right? What does that say about the people you hang out with? That when you get together, a brand new disease breaks out. You know? So it's Jeff's fault, man. You know? He never showers.
We filter through some simple apparatuses. We collect on the order of 1 billion microbes from just a day filtering on top of a building in New York City. And we're in the process of sequencing all that at the present time.
The sun can shine through, yes, just the right amount, and they continually, it's so well adjusted that they continually adjust the ultraviolet rays that hit the earth.
40 years ago, in Israel, with the work of a young English immigrant called Jerry Stanhill. A trained biologist, Jerry got a job helping to design irrigation schemes. His task was to measure how strongly the sun shone over Israel.
It was important for this work to measure solar radiation because that is a factor that basically determines how much water crops require.
For a year, Jerry collected data from a network of light meters. The results were much as expected and were used to help design the national irrigation system. But 20 years later, in the 1980s, Jerry decided to repeat his measurements to check that they were still valid. What he found stunned him.
Well, I was amazed to find that there was a very serious reduction in sunlight, the amount of sunlight in Israel. In fact, if we compare those very early measurements in the 1950s with the current measurements, there was a staggering 22% drop in the sunlight, and that really amazed me.
Now, by us scattering, you know, AIDS, or STDs, AIDS, the HIV virus, it doesn't die when the body dies. It's just like the mad cow disease. Mad cow disease, the prions, they're like a protein, except where they make their fold, they leave a hole, you know. They get in your brain, you got your brain full of holes. It becomes spongiform disease, as they call it. It's like a sponge full of holes, and that's what kills you. But prions, it takes 840 degrees Fahrenheit to kill a prion. And we got the atmosphere full of them now. We have Great Britain burned cattle with the mad cow disease, and it's scattered. The winds have scattered it all over the earth, all through the atmosphere. AIDS is the same way.
Clouds are made of droplets of water. These only form when water vapor in the atmosphere starts to condense on the surface of naturally occurring airborne particles, typically pollen or sea salt. As they grow, the water droplets eventually become so heavy they fall as rain. But Ramanathan found the polluted air contained far more particles than the unpolluted air. In the polluted air, billions of man-made particles provided 10 times as many sites around which water droplets could form. So polluted clouds contained many more water droplets, each one far smaller than it would be naturally. Many small droplets reflect more light than fewer big ones. So the polluted clouds were reflecting more light back into space.
The atmosphere, the microorganisms, the bugs that govern the earth, that creep in the earth, all the things with which the earth creeps, they cannot destroy AIDS. They can't destroy STDs. That's why the earth must be burned, and that's what you see here. That's a reason, but with a fervent heat, Yahweh said.
Between the 1950s and the early 1990s, the level of solar energy reaching the Earth's surface had dropped. 9% in Antarctica, 10% in the USA, by almost 30% in Russia, and by 16% in parts of the British Isles. This was a truly global phenomenon.
The land will be utterly emptied and utterly plundered. The earth mourns and fades away. The world mourns and fades away. And the haughty people of the earth languish. The earth also is defiled under the inhabitants of it, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, and broken the everlasting covenant. Because of this, the curse has devoured the earth. And they that dwell therein are desolate. Therefore the inhabitants of the earth are burned, must be burned, and few men left. Yes, before it's over, before this year is over. Stuff, it's an abomination. Abomination means you can get pathogens from it, and you can transfer those pathogens to other people, which cause sickness, disease, which we're getting right here, even AIDS. Yes, AIDS. You know what they do with the blood of dead people? They flush it down the sewer.
Tonight, a Minneapolis city worker is worried about blood in our sewers. He says while he was cleaning the sewer system, blood sprayed out of a hole and got all over him.
And we could tell it was blood. I mean, large amount of blood.
This happened about 2 weeks ago in northeast Minneapolis. It's near a lab that does medical testing, and it dumps blood into the sewer. Bridget Bornstein shows us why that's allowed and why the city is now making changes to help protect workers in the future.
Blood just all over my face, in my mouth. I could taste it. It was terrible.
Ron Huebner hasn't slept much. He's worried about the blood he swallowed when he was operating a jet machine like this to clean out the sewer.
I had it in my mouth and I kept spitting and I couldn't get rid of it.
The Met Council says it was a mix of human and animal blood used in medical testing at this nearby lab.
And in fact, this company, R&D Systems, does have a permit to dump blood in the sewer system.
But why wasn't Huebner protected, or at least warned the blood was in there? Because his immediate bosses didn't know either.
We did not specifically know that this particular facility was discharging blood into the sewer system.
So now there have been some changes. More coordination among city departments, so key information and permits gets to the right people, and more required safety gear.
We have changed the procedure to ensure that they're wearing goggles or a face mask while they are above that manhole.
And the Met Council is changing the permit. The city has to warn the lab it's coming to clean the sewer, and the lab has to stop discharging blood until they're done.
You know where it goes to? It goes to treatment plants, where it's treated and they say purified and sent back for people to drink in many cases. Whether it's sent back or not, or whether you get a dose of that or a drop of it, you're going to get it one way or the other, because it's being used to wash their vegetables and their fruits and their meats and so forth. So whether you drink it or not, you know, you're going to get it one way or the other. This is the way it's spreading, and it's, you know, and they don't have sense enough to know what they're doing right now.
R&D told the city the blood shouldn't present any risk, but Huebner's still worried.
I'm going to hope that nothing's wrong with me.